Okay, welcome to my video of how to draw the Gruffalo, and I'm going to be thinking about the Gruffalo in terms of Scots language. Okay, so you can see my images up there on the screen. I've got a pot of pencils and I'm using a biro pen. You're welcome to use a pencil because that probably would work a lot better, but I'm using a pen just so that it shows up on the page nice and bright for you. I'm actually using a bit of line paper in my notebook. You don't need anything fancy for this. It could literally be a bit of note paper, or you could go with some really good quality stuff. It's up to yourself. Now, again, forgive me if I'm going to have some of these scratchy lines because I'm using pen. I can't rub out, but at home, if you use pencil, you'll be able to rub out. Now, I'm thinking about the size and shapes that are here for the Gruffalo. And he's kind of filling this whole page, so I'm thinking about his head first. And he's got a rounded top of his head, but it goes squarer and bigger at the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of like jot in the size and shape of his head, that big pointy chin and things. And then I'm thinking it's quite rounded off, his wee legs are really short, so the body's taking up quite a big chunk of the page. You see that? So I'm just thinking that it's coming down from the back of his neck and it's just got that slight dip and then a big curve, and it goes quite round, well, as if you're drawing a teddy bear. Okay, so and then it comes in a wee bit there, and then another wee bit there, and up. And I actually think I've made his head slightly too small, so I'm going to just make it slightly bigger. There, okay. And then, so I'm thinking about all the different elements that make up the Gruffalo. That's what we're going to add at the end to make him noticeably the Gruffalo. So there's like his wee knuckly knees, yeah, knuckly knees here, and again this one's underneath this big knuckly knee here, sort of underneath his body. I've got wee arrows there that kind of covered his feet, but I know what it looks like. Oh, there we go, underneath. So here's this kind of rough shape. See if you do like a sort of rectangular shape to suggest where the feet are, that helps you kind of place the toes quite a lot of the time, okay? And this one's sort of lifting off the ground, so the toes are going to be within this sort of shape. Do you see that in the bottom there? Yeah. Hold up like that. So his back heel's there, and then his tail comes up like this, and it's a bit like a cow's tail. Being a farmer's daughter, I can see that. And it kind of is bushier at the end, and then it's got a wee skinnier sort of tail like that, and joins up his back. So back to the front here, I'm going to just make that a bit more of a definite line of his fat kind of tummy, and then his sort of like pectoral muscle there. Okay, and his hand kind of curves down a bit like that just now, and this other hand does the same, so you can actually see the profile of his arm a wee bit more there. So we've got a rounded off, sort of chunky, chubby arm, rounded round like this. It's got a wee suggestion of his kind of hand, and then there's like, if you like, his fingers, and they sit within this shape. I'm going to add the claws in a wee while. Okay, so starting to look a bit more like a dinosaur than a Gruffalo at the moment, so I'm just going to make that back a bit more prominent. Okay, and the head shape, so it's all the bits that you add to him that help to make him look like a Gruffalo. So his nose, or his neb in Scots, kind of swoops out like this, and it said in the story at the end of his neb is a poisonous pluke, okay, which is like a pluke's like a big spot that's about, you can imagine a horrible big spot that's about to burst all over everybody. Yuck. So he's got a funny wee nose, actually, funny big nose, I suppose. Up like that. He's got kind of quite severe eyebrows here. doesn't really have an eyebrow on this side. On this side, it looks more like an eyebrow. It's more with the shading though, isn't it? And then he's got really big eyes, and it says his inner orange. So we'll need to really be careful about the colour we put on there. His inner orange. And his back is covered in purple jags, isn't it? Is that what they called it? Poisonous plague. Purple jags over his back. So we'd need to make sure we put them in. We can do that in a minute. And he's got a really kind of wide, big mouth, and his tongue is black. Okay. There's a big tongue hanging down, sort of wobbly lined mouth. His jaw kind of comes straight down from that, and also his jaw's really square, so that shape's quite typical of the Gruffalo, so you'd need to get that in, okay? And at the end of this mouth it's like that, okay? And then we've got the ears. Ear kind of comes out a bit flat, it's like a goat's ear or something, I think. Looks like that anyway. Okay, to imagine the ear kind of attached to the head there, and then there's, are you seeing this okay? Yeah. And this ear up this side, sort of out like that. And then he's got the big tusks. Muckle long tusks and muckle big paws and muckle sharp teeth, and his muckle strong jaws. So his tusks kind of come up like that. That's sort of behind his head there. And his other one, they're kind of oddly shaped, so that adds to your illustration, okay? Remember, when somebody is drawing for a book, that is called an illustration. It's not an artwork as such, it's called an illustration, okay? Because it helps you illustrate what the story is about. That's the idea. So, we're just going to pull this line right down here because it doesn't really join up. We'll make that prominent. So you want to add your wee claws, okay? And again on this side, his hands sort of curved up, you want to add the wee claws, 2, 3, 4, and then a wee thumb claw there, 5, so he's got his thumb like that, this big pad of his paw, and then he's got these fingers that sort of come down like that. You just get these wee sharp claws at the end, okay? That's not my best illustration there, you can do better than that for me. Okay. And then these wee ones here. So you really want to make sure it's obvious that he's got claws. And poisonous, look, the jags, purple jags all over his back. It's almost like having wee kind of like tiny wee hedgehog spikes all over his back. So imagine it like that. Not as much as a hedgehog. Knuckly knees are there. His big claws, like 1, 2, 3, 4 coming off his feet. And if you just do a wee curvy line round, it kind of suggests where the toes are. And then again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're kind of curving round. So again, wee suggestion of where the toes are. Okay, and his eyes, we've missed his pupils of his eyes, which is a bit weird. We need them in, don't we? And we need the teeth, so he's kind of got like one tooth up and one tooth down. They're all different shapes. He's got a big tusk here I've not put in yet, so I better put that in. Big tusk. He's got a funny kind of shaped tooth here, and then this is the tongue. I'm going to put that down so I remember that it's the tongue, because we've got that kind of seam in the middle of our tongues. And here's his big teeth, look. Like that. So you're starting to see the Gruffalo sort of come together. Do you see that? And again, this is messy and quick. We're only 10 minutes in. You can spend a lot longer in this and make it a lot nicer. You can add in a background. You can, you know, add in a little mouse or some toadstools and stuff that make it look as if it is happening in the woods and that it's showing the story. Okay. Obviously, you want to then go in and you want to use your colours to illustrate, like it's purple jags on his back. That's actually not particularly purple. Yeah, it is. Purple jags all over his back. Okay, his eyes want to be orange, really orange. You want to use a bit of shading when you colour him all in because he's kind of brown, but when you're colouring in the brown, you want to then go in with a really dark, like maybe some blue or maybe some black. So say you've gone over here and it's brown right round his eyes and you've done the whole body and everything. So there's the brown, and then you think, right, I need to make it look dark round his eyes, so I'm going to come over it with some dark, like black or blue. Okay. So start colouring it in like that. You need to do like a wee pink or a peachy bit for the inside of his ears. Okay. So what I'll do is I will colour this in myself and I'll post it and you can see my finished version as well as all of yours, okay? But have fun with it. Oh, I better include his little tusk, look. There's the other side of the tusk. It's obviously on the other side of his face. It's come up like that. So, done very minimally, very quickly in pen, but there is how you would go about drawing a Gruffalo. Have fun with it.